We live in interesting times. Today's stories. A look back at a giant step for mankind. A major epidemic in Central Africa as Ebola spreads through the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Japan's anime community is in shock after an arson attack at an animation studio killed more than 30 people. A tale of two small economies in Africa. A Canadian man who lost his family in a 737 MAX 8 air crash speaks out. Canada and the European Union talk trade at a Montreal summit. A high-speed chase at sea. And Eat Vancouver is back with chefs lending a helping hand to the city. I'm Marnie Aquino with Eagle News broadcasting from Vancouver, bringing you stories from around the globe. Half a century ago, people who had television were glued to their screens, and this is what they saw. That was the start of a 4-day journey from Cape Canaveral, Florida, to the Sea of Tranquility on the moon's surface. On July 20th, 1969, humans would set foot on the moon for the first time. The 3-member crew of Apollo 11 included Commander Neil Armstrong, who would be the first to walk on the moon. Michael Collins piloted the command module, and the lunar module, the Eagle, was flown by Buzz Aldrin. The trip was problem-free until about 20 minutes before the landing. As the Eagle was descending, an alarm bell began ringing. It turned out the onboard computer experienced an overflow. The crew was told to keep going. But Armstrong noticed they are going too fast and would overshoot their landing site by several kilometers. He switches to manual control of the Eagle and starts to scope out a new landing spot from his porthole. They are running out of fuel, and they have 30 seconds to land or abort the mission. The silence aboard the spacecraft in those tense seconds is broken when Armstrong announces, "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." The engines were turned off, and Armstrong left the lunar module to make history and utter these words.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Armstrong then planted an American flag and explored the moon's surface. To mark the 50th anniversary of the lunar landing, U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed the 2 surviving members of the crew as they visited the White House. Michael Collins and Buzz Aldrin were joined by their families. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, health workers are waging a battle against the deadly Ebola virus. Until now, the year-old epidemic has been confined to remote areas. However, the disease has now been reported in the capital city of Goma. That prompted the World Health Organization to declare the Ebola outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. This has been done only 4 times previously. How dangerous is this virus? Half of the people who get it will die. It is transmitted to humans from wild animals. The disease spreads among people through close contact with blood, bodily fluids, or organs of an infected person. Healthcare workers have another weapon at their disposal, a new vaccine. But Joanne Liu, president of Doctors Without Borders, say they need to change the way the vaccine is distributed.
And then instead of having a very targeted approach, we should have a geographical approach, meaning that if someone is infected coming from that village, we will not only vaccinate the contact and the contact of contact, we'll vaccinate the whole village.
Liu adds healthcare workers are not sure of how much of the vaccine is available.
And then as well, there's been a lot of opacity about what is the supply the world has right now. But we are told it's between 250,000 to 500,000 doses. So great if we have that. But then where are they? When will they be available? We need a much more transparency and clarity.
Meanwhile, a top health official at the African Union warns against curbing travel to the DR Congo. Dr. John N. Ongusan says discouraging travel will only make things worse.
By doing such actions, it would impede our ability to effectively control the virus. So it's a strong call to action that we cannot and should not attempt to impose anything or do anything that would affect the normal functioning, both in movement of people or trade with the Democratic Republic of Congo.
The Ebola outbreak in eastern Congo has infected more than 2,500 people. 1,700 of them have died. An arson attack at an animation production house in Japan has left more than 30 people dead and dozens more injured. Police have one suspect in custody. No word on the motive. The blaze quickly engulfed the three-story building. Witnesses say people desperate to escape the flames jumped from windows. Anime fan James Coleman is at a loss for words.
I was really shocked, and then I was confused as to why anyone would attack a place like Kyoto Animation.
It took firefighters hours to bring the blaze under control. Two communities in Africa are finding themselves having to adapt to changing times. We begin our story in Yemen, where this market was once overflowing with handicrafts, but things are different now in this war-torn country. Weapons have replaced the traditional wares at the bazaar. One of those who changed his product selection is Mohammed Tazur. He says before the war, he and others used to sell handicrafts made by local blacksmiths. Now he says things are different. It's harder to make money to survive. Tahir says many people fled the region and half of the shops have shut down. Most of those who remain turned to the weapons trade. Tahir says if the conflict ends, most will go back to their previous business. Life is also changing for the villagers who live along Africa's third largest lake located in the landlocked country of Malawi. It's getting harder to make a living. You could set your watch by the routine of fishermen who went out each morning in search of fish. More than 70 boats crisscross daily the lake, but the catch is getting smaller. Village chief John White Said says it used to be easy, but now fish are scarce. Said blames climate change, saying the rain patterns are different now. Port manager Alfred Banda is a fisherman as well. Banda says fishing is the mainstay of the local economy. He says the only way people can buy food is to sell fish. Because of their scarcity, Banda says people are overfishing and killing smaller fish. Up next, a Canadian man who lost his family in a plane crash has slammed Boeing during testimony in the U.S. A summit between Canada and the European Union in Montreal, and chefs from across North America are cooking something up in Vancouver. These stories and more when Eagle News returns. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News. A Toronto man who has lost his family in a plane crash last March in Ethiopia had harsh words for the manufacturer of the aircraft. Paul Nzergoge's wife, 3 children, and mother-in-law died when the Boeing 737 MAX 8 crashed. Nzergoge testified at a U.S. government hearing on the state of aviation safety. He criticized Boeing, saying the company is evading the issue of manufacturer error.
On April 4th, 3 weeks after the deaths of my family, in what I have since learned is a shameful pattern of behavior by Boeing and airplane manufacturers, Boeing shifted focus from the root cause of the crashes, which is the design flaws in the 737 MAX and MCAS, and started talking about foreign pilot error. This distracted from correcting the real causes of the crashes and is an insult to humanity.
Nzergoge accused Boeing of putting its balance sheet ahead of safety.
Boeing and their apologists want to shift scrutiny from their single-minded quest for short-term profits over safety and place it on foreign pilots who, like domestic American pilots, were left in the dark by Boeing. Would they have used the term domestic pilot error if the crash happened in the United States?
Nzergoge adds safety improvements must include better training.
Demand that simulator training be required. Recertification must take place in combination with a full legislative fix for the aviation safety system. The FAA clearly needs a budget sufficient to fulfill safety obligations.
Nzergoge says Boeing must change its focus to engineering and safety issues. Prime Minister Trudeau says the free trade deal between Canada and the European Union has been beneficial to countries on both sides of the Atlantic. The agreement went into effect nearly 2 years ago. It removes tariffs on nearly all goods and services between Canada and Europe. At a summit with the EU in Montreal, Trudeau says the deal has helped Canadians.
Trade. We established a framework to create real, meaningful growth that is benefiting people on both sides of the Atlantic. By opening up new markets, businesses are able to grow and create good, well-paying jobs that middle-class Canadians and citizens need.
European Council President Donald Tusk says Canada is the EU's closest transatlantic partner, and he echoes Trudeau's praise of the trade deal.
That CETA has brought many benefits to people on both sides of the Atlantic. Trade is up, and the calamities predicted by some doomsayers have not materialized.
European Trade Commissioner Cecilia Malmström says the deal reflects the values of both sides.
This is a symbol of what progressive trade is about. It promotes all the things that Europeans and Canadians care about. Decency in the workplace, health and safety of our citizens, our cultural diversity, the quality of the land, sea and air that surround us. And it also promotes the effective implementation of the Paris Climate Agreement.
Their mutual praise contrasted with the strained ties between Europe and the United States under President Donald Trump and his protectionist administration. Since the accord came into effect, EU exports to Canada have risen 15%. Here is some dramatic footage, a high-speed chase at sea involving a suspected drug smuggling vessel. Last month, the U.S. Coast Guard chased this semi-submersible in the eastern Pacific Ocean. In this video just released, you can see the Coast Guard has intercepted the vessel. And here you see the Coast Guard officer jump onto the vessel to make an arrest. Coming up, find out what's cooking at Eat Vancouver. Eagle News Canada continues after this. This is Eagle News. I am Arnie Aquino. Chefs from all over North America are cooking up a storm at the Eat Vancouver Food and Cooking Festival. Eagle News correspondent Archie Rose Natividad Yi tells us, as well as gastronomical delights, these culinary wizards are supporting a great cause, Project Chef.
Food and Cooking Festival comes back to town with a bang. The 16th annual food festival has brought chefs from all over North America in support of a great cause, Project Chef.
Award-winning chefs have brought their talents to Vancouver, not only to collaborate, but also to aid in raising proceeds for charity. Local chefs have joined forces with highly sought-out guest chefs to prepare for a series of dinners that help in elevating the Vancouver food scene and simultaneously give back to the community.
So we have gone after chefs from now out. All our guest chefs come from outside BC, but now you've got an Iron Chef from Los Angeles, you've got a James Beard chef from Portland, you've got a chef who ran Frenchie in Paris for a year. So this event is, it's quite special for Vancouver, and it's only going to get better. So great chefs, great food, very unique, and they're a competitive bunch, so they want to do a better job each year. So to bring chefs from outside BC, who are working chefs who own their restaurants in their kitchens, to leave their kitchen, they really don't come for this event. They come for the collaborative dinner. And the collaborative dinner is what we put together. We've done 10 dinners over the last 2 days. And the model is all of those chefs that I provide, they come out tonight. Because this is what provides the charitable donation. So each year our goal is to raise more money, and we have a local charity that educates elementary school children on healthy food and cooking, so how perfect is that?
Well, tonight we made a shrimp cracker as our base, made in-house, so it's dehydrated and deep fried, so nice and crunchy. And then on top we have a Gribiche sauce, so a classic French sauce, with a bit of celeriac folded in, and it's topped with Tabico and fresh dill.
The chefs are not only delighted to put their heart into cooking for a great cause, but also find the joy in the opportunity to share their passion for food.
It's a totally different experience. Like our kitchen back in Edmonton is closed, so I don't normally get to see people eating or talking about it. So to get to talk to people and explain what we do and where we're from and see them eat and see them enjoy and like have them tell you like, I love this, this was unexpected. It's just like a good feeling. It's kind of a reaffirmation of what you're doing.
Mi Jun Pak, one of the judges of Top Chef Canada, gave us the scoop of what's coming up in the Vancouver food scene.
I swear it's the Filipino food. The Filipino cuisine and Filipino food scene is gonna blow up. Give us maybe another 5 years in Canada and Vancouver. It's a little bit slower, but I'm starting to see it, and so I love that. I'm rooting for it. I was like, we desperately need it. It's something Vancouver doesn't have as much exposure to. And yet we have such an amazing Filipino community, amazing talent, and that's the whole point, is to discover flavors from another country. So multicultural here. Huge Asian influence in Vancouver, so we start to see that in our food a lot. You know, we have Filipino-inspired food, Asian-inspired food, Italian and Japanese. There's just so exotic once you get in here.
With the different types of cuisines found in Vancouver, it's exciting to see that Filipino food is on the rise. Reporting from Eat Vancouver, my name is Archie Rose at TV Dad Yi, and I'm 1 with 25.
That is this week's Eagle News. Join us next week for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I am Arnie Aquino. I am 1 with 25.